we go. Let's go, guys. Okay, hold up. So streaming. Thank you. Okay. Okay, guys. Today we're going to be doing riddles live. BRB, I just remember my chair over here so you guys can see me. Because I'm literally kneeling down. Ah, crap. I'm streaming on my dad's computer. So live riddles. Whoopsies.
Hey, you're gonna like this one. 7 riddles that...
Look, guys, hold up. I need to go get my phone. I'm gonna run across get my phone. Should have been prepared. I didn't think there was no work. But, BRB, I'm gonna go grab my phone. Come back, guys. I took off for it and show you. Just so I can look at the chat. My phone's about to die also. Right. Never mind, it's at 90% savage. Guys. Scared. Hold up, let me turn on the volume because, like, okay, a little bit.
will test your brain power. Our brain is a mysterious thing. We know more about stars than about the things inside our heads. But what we do know about the brain is that it gets less sharp and productive with age. What'd you say? Never mind. Do you want to test your brain power and calculate its approximate age? Watch this video till the end to find out the results. You have a maximum of 20 seconds for each task, but try to answer the questions as fast as possible. Counting down, here's test number 7. Take a very close look at these 2 photographs. What is the mistake they have in common?
One's a boy, one's a girl. Oh, they're both girls.
The lips are upside down.
And the lips are upside down. What's upside down?
I think
Yeah, the lips are upside down.
they look upside down.
Yeah, they are. Go look at our lips.
Yeah, they're
If
upside
you
down.
still can't figure it out, let's turn the photos upside down. It looks horrible, right? The eyes and lips of both women are upside down, but your brain doesn't recognize that immediately.
I did.
The thing is, the brain is not used to seeing eyes and lips in that position.
I did.
There is another interesting experiment. Some people can turn their tongues upside down. Good. Hit the like button if you were one of them. If you can, do it and touch the left side of your tongue. It will sense the touch from the opposite side, because evolution never taught the brain to read the sensations on the tongue in that position. That's weird. Test number 6. How many holes does this t-shirt have? What, mine? Oh, the one on the screen. Never mind.
More than one?
How many holes does this t-shirt have? Is it on the cover?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.
11.
11.
11.
11.
The question doesn't specify which holes exactly, so the right answer is 8. They are the neckline, 2 sleeves, the bottom of the t-shirt, and 4 holes in the middle.
I was right.
2 in the front and 2 in the back, because we can see the backgrounds through them.
Well, and that means it'd be 11 because you'd have to count the
Test
other ones.
number 5.
Yeah. Just think
I
about
was
it.
right.
How would you name this tree?
A bird's on it. I could tell because I could see directly into it.
Bird.
Right here, guys.
Bird tree.
If you guys can see, it's like directly on the branch.
birds on it.
And birds on it.
Write the names that came to your mind in the comment section below.
A bird tree.
But the actual challenge was to notice the camouflage bird on the
Yes.
tree. If you did,
Oh,
well done.
Do they see your face?
What?
Do they see your face?
Yeah.
Oh.
Test number
Just
4.
don't get in the camera. Please.
Can you manage this one in 5 seconds? I'll give you 20 seconds, but try to solve it as fast as possible.
Found it. I found it. It's easy.
Oh, what was it?
He said try to find the mistake. Found it. This is on a brain game thing. I used to watch this thing called Brain Games, and they showed me this, and I looked over it twice. I didn't see it at first, but now I saw it.
The mistake is not in the numbers or their colors. The mistake is that the word
Spot is mentioned
appears
twice.
Your brain doesn't always show you the reality.
Oh,
It
I
also
remember
shows
that
what it
one.
is used to.
Yeah, on Brain
There are
Games.
many short texts on the internet that have repeating words that most people don't notice until they finish the text and read the description.
I
If you
do.
have bad eyes,
Like books.
you might have noticed that things, most often words, you couldn't see from a distance, become clearer when somebody tells you what's written there. It's not that your eyes became better, it's your brain completes the picture.
Yeah.
Test number 3. Do you see a hidden baby? That's not mine either.
Yep. Right there.
Yeah, it's like the outline of the branches, no one can see it.
Yeah.
The feet's at the right side, and then you can see the nose and everything. Hands are in like the middle, and then the head's like at the left.
That was easy. It's like a little ball.
I know, it's kind of
Right here,
easy.
right here, right here. See? See it?
Yeah.
It's real easy.
If you follow the thin branches of the tree, you will see the outline
At
of
first
a
I
baby
did not
in the
see that,
fetal
though.
position. His feet and toes are on the
Dory.
right side of the picture.
That's what
Arms
that's
are in the
I
middle,
like showing
and
the
head
feet.
is on the left. One more thing. It's good that he doesn't have teeth because his bark is better than his bite.
Oh, wow.
Test number 2. Which line is longer?
Hey,
Okay.
isn't that kind of easy, though?
Oh, I might check this. What calls up the A?
Of course, line A is longer. It's so obvious, right? Well, not for everybody, or rather, not always. There was a research on conformity that looked like this. 5 people were asked which of 2 lines was longer. The answer was always simple, but 4 of the tested people were asked to lie. So technically, there was only one real subject. The people lied very convincingly, so the subject didn't want to stand out and gave the wrong answer. The same phenomenon can be illustrated with jokes. If you're in a group of people and somebody tells a joke that everybody finds funny, you will laugh too, even if you don't get it or don't think it's funny. Well, maybe not you, but approximately 75% of people do so. Of course, everybody laughs at my jokes, right? Liars. Alright, test number 1.
Last one, guys. We're probably going to do a couple of these, though.
Can you spot Mike Wazowski?
Mike Wazowski.
Found him.
Found him.
Right here.
And right here.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, right
That
there.
was easy.
I know.
Way too easy.
There he is. Green, but still very different. Now, let's talk about your results. If it took you more than 20 seconds to answer each question, or you didn't manage all the tasks, it means that you have the brain of a mature person. It's hard for you to make your mind see beyond the obvious.
You don't have a brain of a
and
mature
change
person.
easily. Wow. If it took you less than 20 seconds, your brain is quite young, and you can approach tasks from
Oh.
different
Our bad.
angles.
Our bad.
If you answer each question correctly in less than 5 seconds, your brain is very young and flexible. You can notice the tiniest details right away and adapt to new situations easily. As for those of us with mature brains, hey, don't worry. As the saying goes, you're only young once, but you can be immature forever. So, what is your result? Tell us in the comment section below.
I don't know.
I need to see.
Like this video.
I'll be back.
7 mystery riddles only the smartest 5% can solve. Well, that lets me out, huh? Hey, are you a fan of good old Agatha Christie novels? Or are modern works with elements of thriller more to your liking? It's time to test yourself.
Back.
We're all familiar with typical IQ tests that rate your intelligence level after you've answered 40 standardized questions. But there are some other ways to find out what your inner genius can do. We found several riddles that only a few people can figure out. Do you feel brave enough to crack them? Then go ahead and test your detective skills with these riddles. After each riddle, you'll be given 15 seconds to find the answer. Here we go. Number 7, jailbreak. Jack is placed in a cell with a dirt floor and only one window positioned so high no one could reach it. The cell is empty except for a shovel. It's hot and dry there, but Jack won't get any food or drink anytime soon. He has only 2 days to break out of the jail. If not, he'll die. We know what you have immediately thought, but no, digging a tunnel is not an option.
Dang it! Why?
We did this one.
How should Jack escape the cell?
We did this one, not in a video.
What's your guess? Don't forget, you can pause the video to have more time to think.
I haven't. Make a pile of dirt?
Yep. Maybe.
All set? Here's the answer.
No, I'm just
Well,
guessing.
the way out for Jack turned out to be a piece of cake. He had to use the shovel to make a pile of dirt under the window, climb on it, and escape from the cell. Seriously, who secures prisoners this way? All right, number 6, a stolen necklace. Mrs. Smith went to the police claiming that her vintage necklace was missing. The woman was upset. When the police arrived, they saw no signs of a break-in. No messed up locks, no misplaced doors. Only one window was broken. There was a total mess inside the house and dirty footprints all over the floor. Surprisingly, the next day, Mrs. Smith was arrested for fraud. Why?
She locked herself out of her house.
I don't see no glass though. Wouldn't that be
Are you ready
from
there?
the outside
5 seconds left.
No. Hold on.
I'm just
Here's
gonna
the
guess
answer.
that.
The police were sure that Mrs. Smith lied to them because the window was broken from the inside. If it had been broken from the outside, little pieces of glass would have been on the room's floor.
The only reason I probably guessed that is because Mom
Number
and you
5,
guys watch all that
murder
stuff.
at school. On the first day of the school year, a geography teacher was murdered. The police had as many as 4 suspects. They were the gardener, the math teacher, the coach, and even the school principal. Yeah, I vote for the principal. Now, the sticking point was that they all had alibis. The gardener was cutting bushes. The math teacher was holding a mid-year test. The coach was playing basketball. The principal...
You guys, it's the math teacher. It has to.
Yeah.
Didn't he say at the beginning that it was the first day of school or something like that?
Yeah, you don't hold
Mid-year test.
was in the office. Despite this, the killer was arrested immediately.
Math
Can you
teacher.
guess who killed the geography teacher
Math
and how
teacher.
the police solved the mystery?
Math
You have 15 seconds to find the killer.
Math or the coach?
It's math, I already know it.
You do?
Yep. I could, or something, because it makes no sense. If you were taking a mid-year test, if it was the beginning of the
True.
year.
It would have to be math.
The killer was the math teacher. According to his own words, he was holding a mid-year test, but the crime happened on the first day of the school year.
Hey, we're not
He
going to
needs
talk
to learn
about
how to lie
Yeah.
better,
Let
don't
the
you think?
Because we've
viewers.
seen this already.
You have? I don't
Number
know
4,
this.
a lonely man.
Oh.
A lonely old man lived in his house in the suburbs of a city. He led a quiet life. Perhaps he was a homebody, as he never left his dwelling for long. It was a midsummer Friday when the mailman walked by and called out for the man. There was no answer coming from inside the house. The mailman looked into the window and, oh no, saw the man in a pool of blood. When the policeman arrived, he found Tuesday's newspaper, 2 bottles of warm milk, and 1 bottle of cold milk. The next day, the killer was arrested. Do you know how the police found out who it was so quickly? What is your idea?
It would be the
Don't say it,
mailman.
don't say it, don't say it.
Wouldn't it be the mailman then? I believe it's the mailman.
5 seconds
That's the
remaining.
only person that
Can
knew
you
it.
see the
Has
answer?
to be.
It was obviously the mailman. He knew that no one in that house would read a newspaper on Wednesday or Thursday. That's why he came only on Friday. Number 3, 2 pills.
Oh, I know this one.
A serial killer had a particular practice going. He kidnapped people and made them take one of 2 pills. One was harmless, the other was poisonous. Whichever pill a victim took, the serial killer took the other one. Then the scheme repeated itself continuously. Victims took their pills with water and died. The killer repeatedly survived. How did he always get the harmless pill? Good luck. Your time has started.
They were both kill people. He had a pill in his drink that didn't kill people.
So the drink is poisonous, you're saying?
Yes. They were both good, but the drink is poisonous for the victim.
Okay,
Here's
I guess
the
that's
answer.
it.
The serial killer was tricking people. The poison was in the glass of water his victims drank, not in the pill. Oh, that stinks. So unfair. Anyway, number 2, frozen windows. Once, on a cold winter day, a tragedy happened. John found his friend dead in his own house. John called the police and said he was just passing by Jack's house when he decided to drop by to see him. He had been knocking and ringing the bell for a long time. However, all was silent. Perhaps Jack wasn't at home. But John could very well see the light in the room through a frozen window. He breathed on the ice window glass and saw Jack on the floor. Unexpectedly for John, the police arrested him as the main suspect. Why? 15 seconds to go.
Because it was at his house? It was at John's house.
Only 5 seconds left.
It's after the game, so.
Obviously, John hasn't thought his legend through. He wouldn't be able to unfreeze the window glass because it's usually icy on the inside.
I guess so.
And finally, number 1, chemical substances. A famous chemist was murdered in his lab. There was no evidence found except for a piece of paper with the names of chemical substances on it. On the day he was murdered, the chemist had only 3 visitors: his wife Mary, his nephew Nicholas, and his friend Jonathan. The police arrested the murderer right away. How did they know who it was? A little hint. Pay closer attention to the note.
Nicholas.
Nicholas, because it says nickel.
Yeah. Nickel.
What's just something with the chemicals there? Because I know like a
Something.
little bit of the chemical stuff.
The answer is hidden in the note. This piece of paper had a clue. If you combine the short names of the chemical substances on the paper, you'll get a name. Nicholas. Even dying, this man remained a real chemist. Speaking of chemists, here's one for you. Johnny was a chemist's son, but Johnny is no more. For what he thought was H2O was H2SO4, which is, of course, sulfuric acid. Oops. Well, did you manage to solve these detective riddles?
Yep.
Did you? Wow, if
A
so,
lot of them.
don't forget to hit like and share.
We got to do a lot of them because
How
we've
do you
seen
know
it
if the
already.
pillow you're sleeping on is garbage?
Warning, what you're about to see is actual science.
Come on, chef.
Actual garbage. I'm as shocked as you are.
Ah, so that's how you know if the pillow you're sleeping on is full of garbage. Unfortunately, expensive or cheap, most pillows on the market are simply terrible. And this is exactly why the real-life comfort scientists that brought you the revolutionary purple bed put their inventive genius to work on designing a completely new kind of pillow. Presenting the
Oh
purple
crap,
pillow.
sorry guys. Didn't notice that. Okay,
10 detective riddles only the most attentive 1% can solve. It has been scientifically proven that you must solve 10 detective riddles every day to develop and exercise your brain. But you can't deny that entertaining your mind solving cases along with Sherlock Holmes and other famous detectives is anything but boring. So, if you are ready to check how attentive you are, this video is what you need. Watch a riddle, have 15 seconds to try to crack it, and move to the next one. Remember to give us a like for letting you feel like a real professional in solving crimes. Good luck! Number 10. A detective and the blacksmith brothers. On a snowy winter night, the detective was resting in front of the fireplace. Suddenly, somebody threw a snowball at his window. The hit was so strong that the glass shattered. The detective stood up and had just enough time to notice 3 kids who lived in the neighborhood running away. They were brothers with the names Sam Blacksmith, Peter Blacksmith, and Mark Blacksmith. The next day, a paper note was left on the detective's door. There it was written, "Blacksmith. He threw the snowball." The detective knew immediately which brother to question. Okay, now you have 15 seconds. Hopefully enough time to figure it out. And the blacksmith brothers. On a snowy winter night, the detective was resting in front of the fireplace. Suddenly, somebody threw a snowball at his window. The hit was so strong that the glass shattered. The detective stood up and had just enough time to notice 3 kids who lived in the neighborhood running away. They were brothers with the names Sam Blacksmith, Peter Blacksmith, and Mark Blacksmith. The next day, a paper note was left on the detective's door. There it was written, "Blacksmith. He threw the snowball." The detective knew immediately which brother to question.
Peter Blacksmith.
Okay, now you have 15 seconds. Hopefully enough time to figure it out.
We can go back and pause it so we can see it. Because I forgot the name. All I remember is Peter Blacksmith. That's all I remember.
No. It's gonna be him.
The symbol, is called the question mark. So here we go. Blacksmith. He threw the snowball.
Wow.
Number 9. Hotel room. A woman was staying in her hotel room when somebody knocked at the door. When she opened it, she saw an unknown man. He looked surprised and said, "I apologize. I thought it was my room." He turned away and went in the direction of the elevators. The woman, however, returned to the room and dialed security. Why was she so suspicious? Have you already figured it out? Time is ticking.
Do you know who it was? It was a robber.
Hold
Her
on, guys.
hotel room when somebody knocked at the door. When she opened it, she saw an unknown man. He looked surprised and said, "I apologize. I thought it was my room." He turned away and went in the direction of the
What?
elevators.
The lines. So you have to know what that means. It was a robber or something like that. It was
Staying in
security.
her hotel room when somebody knocked at the door. When she opened it, she saw an unknown man. He looked surprised and said, "I apologize. I thought it was my room." He turned away and went in the direction of the elevators. The woman, however, returned to the room and dialed security.
Because it was an
Why was she
unknown
so
man. That's
suspicious?
new.
Have you
Unknown.
already
His
figured
name
it
was
out?
Unknown Man.
Time is ticking.
It was Unknown Man.
I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think its name is Unknown Man.
The woman logically decided that if the man had thought that the room was his, he wouldn't have knocked. Such behavior is typical for those criminals
How was
who break
the?
into hotel rooms and steal whatever they can. They knock on the door to make sure there's
How is
nobody
the
inside.
camera looking at you if it's looking at there?
Number 8. Suicide
Oh.
or murder. A detective comes to a crime scene. A man is said to jump out of a window of an abandoned
What was the
building
answer?
and commit suicide. The detective goes inside the building to the first floor, to the room at the front. He lights a cigarette, goes up to the window which faces the dead man, opens it, and throws the cigarette out. Then he goes to the second floor and does the same. He continues until he has visited all the floors and repeated the action again and again. Then he returns to his team and says that it was by no means a suicide, but a murder. How did he find it out? It took the detective much longer than 15 seconds to understand the truth.
Because the cigarette
What
could have
about
gone
you?
farther
Are
than
you
the man
smarter?
was done. Or closer than the man. That's what I think. I don't know what I mean.
No, because the cigarette would have.
Gone farther or closer.
No, it would have like hurt someone. No, not hurt someone.
When a person commits suicide jumping from a high floor, they don't tend to close the window behind them. But in this case, none of the windows which faced the dead man were left open. It means that there was somebody who closed them after the man died.
Oh.
Number 7. Iced tea.
Oh, I never said.
Two young ladies were having dinner together. They both ordered iced tea. One of them was very thirsty and drank very fast. She had 5 glasses during the time, the other drank only 1. Tragically, the girl who was nursing her drink and drinking slowly died. The other stayed alive, but it turned out that all the drinks they had been served contained poison. How is it possible that the girl who drank more survived? Strange case. Are you ready with the answer?
The other ones are filled with water. Or something, I don't know.
The other one was filled with coffee.
Yeah. The other ones are filled with coffee.
In fact, the poison was contained in the ice. The ice in the tea of the girl who drank fast didn't have time to melt, but the ice cubes in the other girl's drink
Hey, bro.
melted,
Hold up.
releasing the poison into her tea.
And really, I'm Pro Packs. Dude, none of that stuff in the chat, bro.
What do you say?
Jacked up, don't do that stuff. Sorry about that, guys.
What do you do?
Start saying, such my channel, such my channel.
Number
Sub?
6.
Sub.
Mysterious death in the
Subscribe.
car. A
Don't
man
subscribe
was
to
found
this.
shot to death in his car. The policemen were puzzled, as there was no gunpowder on his clothes or anywhere else in the car. This meant the person who shot him was outside, but all the windows were closed, all the doors locked, and the only bullet hole was on the man's body. How was it possible? Perhaps some mystic powers? Here's your 15 seconds.
The person was in the back. The person I shot was in the back.
Sit outside.
He opened the door. No. He opened the door, got back, shot him, and then closed the door.
The answer is actually quite simple. The car where the man had been killed was a convertible. When the fatal shot sounded, the roof was down. Number 5.
But he's
car is-
dead, though. He can't push a
A
button.
woman was having breakfast at a nice restaurant. At one moment, she noticed a fly in her coffee.
Ew.
She was indignant and made the waiter bring her another cup of the drink. After he returned with a new cup of coffee, she shouted, "What is the service in this place? You have brought me the same cup of coffee." How did she understand it? Perhaps the woman was a psychic. What do you think?
It had the same.
I had the client still.
Yeah, I had the flying stuff.
Sorry, guys, about that notification. I have notification.
She had already put sugar in her previous cup of coffee. When she tried the new one, it was sweet. Number 4. In court for killing the wife. A man is accused of killing his wife. His lawyer, in his final statement, declares that the wife of the man, in fact, hasn't been killed, and will enter the courtroom in a minute. Everybody in the room, including the judge and the jury, turns and looks at the door, and the lawyer with the defendant looks at them. Several minutes pass, and the lawyer says, "It proves that you are not so sure that my client has killed his wife. Otherwise, you wouldn't believe me." Almost immediately after that, the jury comes up with a guilty verdict. Why does it happen? 15 seconds to find the answer.
Because the wife didn't walk through the door.
Yeah, the wife wanted to think that the husband killed her.
The man who had been accused wasn't looking at the door. He was sure his wife wouldn't enter, as he had killed her.
Did we get that right, guys? I believe so. I was looking at the chat. My thing's buffering. This guy. Irritating.
As he
I'll
had
look
killed
at your
her.
chat.
No. That's
Number 3. A case of a smuggler. A man carrying 2 bags with sand crosses the Mexican border on a bicycle every day. Customs officers regularly check the bags, and all the time, they contain sand. It is obvious that the man smuggles something, but the officers can't realize what it is exactly. As they don't have any proof, the man crosses the border without interruptions.
Exactly.
What does he smuggle? Your time has started.
He smells it in his body or his hat.
He smuggles it inside the dirt. It's toxic, but air. Probably, I don't know.
The sand's toxic.
The sand's
Toxic.
toxic.
Yeah.
This creative individual distracts the custom officer's attention with the bags of sand. But in fact, he smuggles bicycles.
Oh my
my
gosh.
Number 2, suicide message. A body of a man was found in the flat. At some moment, he collapsed against his desk, a gun in his hand. The police found a cassette recorder nearby. When they pressed the play button, what they heard was, "He can't live like this anymore." Then the sound of a gunshot was heard. However, the detective immediately figured out that it was a murder. How did he realize that it wasn't a suicide?
Because the dude was a righty and he shot it,
Already know
and
the
the bullet
answer.
went straight through his
If
left
not,
head.
you still have some time.
It was a murderer. He knew it was murder because he was a righty, and he shot it, and the bullet went straight through the left side of his head.
But the gun's on his left hand.
Exactly. He's not.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I was just adding it.
Oh, that makes. Thank you.
If the man had killed himself, he by no means would have been able to rewind the tape. Conclusion, it was someone else.
Oh, that makes
Number 1,
sense.
crime scene. A man killed his wife in their car. He used a knife, which he later threw away into an abyss where nobody was going to find it. His wife's body he took out of the car. He was very careful and left no fingerprints. After that, he headed home. In a couple of hours, he got a call from the police. They informed him that his wife had been killed, and he had to arrive at the crime scene right away. As soon as he got there, however, he was suspected for the murder. How did the police realize it had been him who was guilty?
His
And
footprints.
15 seconds for you.
His
Take your
footprints
time.
in the sand.
His footprints in the sand, or they found the knife.
Yeah.
Because the knife's literally at his car.
Yeah.
Or there was blood in his car and they checked his car.
Yeah.
And he wasn't there.
I don't know what they called him.
The husband wasn't informed of the definite location of the crime scene. Despite that, he came to the right place. We hope you had a good time while solving
Oh,
this
that
mystery.
makes
that
sense.
What
makes
was the hardest
sense.
nut to crack?
We
Tell
didn't
us
get-
in the
we
comments.
got, like, none
and
of
share
them
this
right, huh?
video
I know,
with
that was
your
actually
friends.
hard.
You can compare the results afterwards.
Those are like common sense ones, but we're just.
What's a super easy way to tell that your bet is awful?
Yeah.
The raw egg test. Let me prove it.
What?
4 riddles that will test your intelligence. Can you answer
Oh,
just
it's
one
loading
question?
still?
Do you go to
Yeah,
the gym,
'cause I don't-
swim in the pool, play tennis? You probably worry about the condition your body is in and exercise it regularly. But how do you exercise your brain? Don't worry, you don't necessarily have to multiply 10-digit numbers in your head. Sometimes, all it takes is one picture with a hidden explanation behind it. We have a challenge for you. There are 4 riddles in this video. Take your time, don't hurry, think it over. So, let's start. On the river. It was a hot summer day, but Inspector Varnicky was on duty. Fortunately, he wasn't sitting in a stuffy office room. The detective, along with his assistant, was chasing a dangerous criminal. Following in his footsteps, they found themselves on the shore of a small but very deep and rapid river. The inspector and his assistant saw some swimmers, approached them, and asked, "We are looking for a guy of approximately your age. He must be somewhere nearby. Have you seen him?" The reply came immediately. "He ran past us just a few minutes ago. He flung himself into the river right here. You can see him on the other side of the river. Hurry if you want to catch him." The nice guy even offered to give Varnicky his boat, but the inspector refused. "Let them run away," said the inspector. "Now I want to get acquainted with you." Why did the inspector decide to pay attention to the boys and not chase the fugitive on the other side? Don't hurry with the answer.
Because
you have some time.
the
to
guy
think.
with the red
If it's not
shorts?
enough, pause the video, analyze, look for any
that guy?
details on the picture that can help you out.
Hey,
Well,
it was about.
what could raise the suspicion? The state the guys were in? But it's typical for the beach, hot summer day attire. Something about the bushes, the sand, the river.
They're not at the
It's
beach,
right
they're
here.
at the river.
Or
Yeah.
perhaps you have already figured it out. So, Who is the criminal?
The guy in red shorts.
The guy in red shorts. It has to be.
If you have been attentive, you must remember that the stream flow was very fast and the river itself deep and rough. If someone had decided to cross it, they would have immediately drowned. Even if the criminal had been a talented sportsman and managed to cross the river, he would have been taken away from that place by the current. There's no way he could end up on the other side. So the criminal is one of those who stood on the shore in front of the inspector and his assistant. Got it right? Very good. Give us a thumbs up, and let's move to the next riddle.
See, I told y'all.
Christmas mystery.
Hold on, can see.
Inspector Varney,
Sup, Yorkshire
you already
Cowboys?
know, was on
I
duty
think I
during
can't
the
say.
Christmas holidays. Poor guy. On the morning of December 25th, he went on a call. He rang the doorbell, and a minute later, a sleepy apartment owner opened it. The inspector introduced himself and said, "I have to inspect your apartment carefully. Your neighbor says that yesterday, on Christmas Eve, he came to your place for a party. And while he was singing songs along with your family next to your Christmas tree, shining with multicolored lights, you broke into his apartment and stole a number of valuable items." The surprised owner replied, "That's not true. Our family celebrated Christmas Eve at our friend's place. We left our apartment and went to them in the afternoon. I had barely time to decorate the Christmas tree before we went away. We returned home way past midnight and went to sleep right away. If you want, I can wake my wife and son up and they'll confirm all I've said." "There's no need for that," interrupted Inspector Varnicky. "It's quite obvious to me that your neighbor is a liar." How did Inspector Varnicky manage to catch the neighbor in a lie so quickly? What do you
Because
think of this
he
case?
offered that his
Let's
family.
consider the situation
He offered that his
together.
family would say the right thing too.
Perhaps the man sounded very sincere, but was it enough for the inspector to believe him? Could he have the proof of the suspect's words? Maybe somebody saw the family returning from visiting their friend. Could the inspector notice something confirming the statement of the apartment owner?
Because the lights are unplugged.
The answer
Yeah.
right here. Why did the detective call the neighbor a liar? Again, nothing too complicated or mysterious. Just an exercise to check how attentive you are. If you take another look at the Christmas tree, you will notice that the garland is missing one bulb, and you know that it wouldn't be working without it. The owner really did decorate the Christmas tree in a hurry, and he didn't check whether the lights were working or not. The neighbor couldn't have known this, and he lied about singing songs next to a shining multicolored tree. By the way, a garland's frayed cord doesn't prevent it from shining. But can you imagine how professional and attentive the inspector is? If you had the same qualities and managed to find the answer, press a like and look at the next riddle.
I don't know think for.
Apartment complex in New York. In an apartment complex typical for New York, there are 100 married couples. So, no wonder that when one of the husbands cheats on his wife with one of the other wives, his wife has no idea. But you know the law of life, the truth always gets revealed. And with a large amount of gossip in the complex, all of the other wives know he is cheating. But unlike any other place, the rules of punishment for unfaithfulness in this complex are very peculiar and even terrifying. If a wife finds out that her husband is cheating on her, she kills him the following morning. Whoops. And guess what happens? Someone anonymously sends an email to all of the wives in the building, saying that at least one man is cheating on his wife in the building. How many husbands will be killed, and how long will it take? Well, this riddle is a bit further up on the cruelty scale, but don't let it bother and distract you. This task seems to challenge your logical thinking. Are you ready to face it off? Don't hurry, don't give up. Remember, you can pause the video, take a piece of paper and a pen, and do whatever you need to solve this riddle. Draw a scheme, perhaps, or a dead husband.
I'm not
So,
gonna solve
let's
it.
uncover the truth now. How many husbands, and how much time?
One husband.
Can I play it? Yeah.
Steven. I was just streaming on that if it would work. And I told you already that the PS4 controller is not working. Yesterday.
Why did you connect the phone out?
Because I was trying to put it on it. So I'm upset.
So not gonna work now?
No, I just had to go to 9 and then connect them. We're not talking about the riddles.
All of the men, let's say that their quantity is n, who are cheating will be killed, and it will take one less night than the number of the cheating men, n minus 1, for their wives to discover this. If one man was cheating, and his wife hadn't heard of any other infidelity, she would know it was her husband that was cheating. If there were two men cheating, both of their wives would think that since they have only heard of one man cheating, he should die the next morning. If he doesn't die, they decide that their husband must also be cheating, and that's why the other husband didn't die. Following this logic, you know that all of the men will die after one less night than the number of the cheating men. Voila! How did this one seem to you?
That man's
Mind
still
twisted
alive.
or easy peasy? Good for you if you managed to solve it. If not, don't get upset. It indeed was confusing. And anyway, there's one more riddle to come. You can still turn the tables. Hot summer day. It was a hot summer day, and a police detective decided to catch a little son by the banks of a river. Suddenly, he heard a woman crying. Surely, he couldn't help but rush to help. "What's happened?" he asked the sobbing girl. "Please calm down and tell me everything one step at a time." "That's easy for you to say," said the girl between sobs. "You can't even imagine how dear that bracelet was to me. I come here every day. Today I took off my bracelet while sunbathing, placed it on top of my book, and accidentally fell asleep. I woke up and the bracelet wasn't there anymore." The inspector fell into deep thought. There were no footsteps left by other people in the sand around where the girl had been sitting, apart from her own. There were no other people in the vicinity. It followed that only one of the regular visitors to the beach could have taken the bracelet. These people had now formed a thick wall all around the inspector. He looked at them, and within a moment, understood who could have taken it. Clever him. What about you? What's your idea? Maybe the thief is the guy with the tennis racket? He seems to look too innocent. Or the woman. She is the only one holding a bag. Perhaps she put the bracelet inside. Do you agree? Time is running out. You need to give the answer soon.
Oh, the fat guy. Because he's not even paying attention. It's a fat guy. Because look at his eyes. Not paying attention.
She lost it.
The main hint here was the phrase that there were no footprints around the place, and the only person who could reach the bracelet without leaving any footsteps in the sand is the one with the fishing rod. He was the first person to fall under suspicion. How did you deal with these brain teasers? Which one was the most difficult? Share with us in the comments and hit the like button if you got at least one answer right, and click subscribe to join us on the bright side.
Oh, what's up, Hunter, bro?
What's up, Hunter?
Oh, crap.
Is it Hunter B? Oh,
Hunter Bell.
Hunter Bell. What's up,
Sing
Hunter?
our lies.
What's up, Hunter?
Yeah, I only have one like though.
I only got one like. Who is it, Hunter? It's probably.
Be right back. Oh, my knee. Oh, crap, man.
You're among the 15% of people who are the most intellectually gifted. Some riddles are so amazing you can't rest until you've found the solution, and it's all the more surprising when it turns out to be obvious. Puzzle number 1. How can John escape? John is trapped in a room. There is a table, a chair, 2 doors, and a small hole in the ceiling 6 inches in diameter. Behind the first door, there's a starving lion that hasn't eaten for a couple of days. Behind the second door, there's a glass tunnel that magnifies the sunlight, and it creates such a high temperature that even opening the door can kill John. How will he escape? I'll give you 30 seconds. Take your time.
He puts a chair on top of the table and gives him the chair and climbs up. Hey, boy, Hunter.
Ready for the right answer? John waits until it's night. He can see it through the hole in the ceiling, and then he'll escape through the glass tunnel. Puzzle number 2. Which one is the odd one out? A genius can crack this one in just 10 seconds. Bill Gates is said to have solved it in 20 seconds.
Harvard University alumni can do it in 40 seconds. 75% of people found this puzzle impossible to solve and asked for a clue. What about you? So here are 5 different shapes. The question is simple. Which variant is the odd one out? Here are your 40 seconds. Make yourself comfortable and pay your attention to the picture.
Who's still here to make a moderator? The second square. After that, like 8 seconds. The second square would have to be because like there's not a wide. I remember. Oh, hold on, let's play dog. Hi, fellas. Hi, fellas. Hi, fellas. Hi. Here's the lighting.
Come on, Belle.
Do you need some help? At first, you might feel like the odd one out is the only green one. But what about the lonely circle? Or the single small square? Or the only shape with no border? Haven't you found the answer yet? Well, in the process of elimination, you'll realize the odd one out is the shape on the left. Why? It's the only one that is not an odd one out. The leftmost shape is special because it is not special. Got it? Congrats to those who found the solution. Make good use of your keen eye and extraordinary logical abilities. Puzzle number 3. Who owns the fish? To solve this riddle, you should know that there are 5 houses of 5 different colors. There is a person of a different nationality in each house. Each person drinks a certain drink, smokes a certain brand of cigarettes, and has a certain pet. No one drinks the same drink, smokes the same brand of cigarettes, or has the same pet. The British man lives in the red house. The Swedish man has a dog for a pet. The Danish man drinks tea. The greenhouse is to the left of the White House. The owner of the greenhouse drinks coffee. The person that smokes Pall Mall has a bird. The owner of the yellow house smokes Dunhill. The person that lives in the middle house drinks milk. The Norwegian lives in the first house. The person that smokes Blend lives next to the one that has a cat. The person that has a horse lives next to the one that smokes Dunhill. The one that smokes Blue Master drinks beer. The German smokes Prince. The Norwegian lives next to a blue house. The person that smokes Blend has a neighbor that drinks water. The question is, who owns the fish? Here's a little hint.
Greenhouse.
The key to finding the answer is to discard all possibilities progressively until you reach the final solution. This riddle is a tricky one, so people usually need at least 45 seconds to solve it. Take your time, no rush. You can also pause the video to have more time to think.
It's the greenhouse.
Have you solved it? Here's the right answer. The Norwegian lives in the yellow house, drinks water, smokes Dunhill, and has a cat. The Danish man lives in the blue house, drinks tea, smokes Blend, and has a horse. The British man lives in the red house, drinks milk, smokes Pall Mall, and has a bird. The German lives in the greenhouse, drinks coffee, smokes Prince, and has a fish. The Swedish man lives in the White House, drinks beer, smokes Blue Master, and has a dog. So, the German is the owner of the fish.
But I got it up a different way.
Puzzle number 4. Where is the prisoner hiding? Police hire a detective to find an escaped prisoner. The detective narrows his search to one of 3 different houses. After taking a closer look at an aerial photo of the 3 houses, the detective instantly knew which house the prisoner was in. Do you already know the answer? I'll give you 30 seconds again. Take your time and have a closer look at the picture.
He could tell by the car colors. I'm sorry, buddy.
Are you ready now? The prisoner was hiding in House A, as this is the only house where the car was pointed toward the street for a quick escape.
Wow.
Puzzle number 5. What is the number of the parking spot? This one is very tricky. Can you guess the number of the parking spot? Sure you can. 30 seconds are all yours.
Hold up, guys. Okay, you have 6. Okay, I put parking right there. So you have. Well, I have to do this math, guys. 58, 30, 68. Time
Ready for the answer? Honestly, it took us years to figure it out. The number of the parking spot is 87. How do we know? Just look at this upside down.
Oh, wow.
Have you managed to solve all the riddles? Share your
I
experience
solved
in the
none of
comments.
them.
Don't forget to hit the like button below the video and share it with your friends. Click subscribe.
Let's do this, you guys.
Five logical riddles that'll break your head.
What the heck?
No, really. These puzzles are simple enough to be solved over your coffee break, and tricky enough to stump you for hours, sending your mind on a wild goose chase. Today, you have the chance to stretch your brains by cracking a few of these mind-bending little beauties. So, are you up for the challenge? And don't miss our bonus, a tricky question with an obvious answer. Riddle number 1. Roadside difficulties. While changing a tire, a motorist accidentally dropped all 4 wheel nuts into the sewer grate. He tried everything to retrieve them, but to no avail. The man was beginning to suspect that he would have to spend many hours by the roadside when a passing kid suddenly helped him solve the problem. Acting on the kid's advice, he successfully fitted a new tire and drove to the nearest service station without accidents. What was the advice that the child had given the motorist? I'll give you 15 seconds to think.
The tire can get put on, it's just those things that he brought them just to support it, to keep it still. So he bought some more stuff at the shop.
Ready for the answer? The kid told the man to remove 1 nut from each of the other 3 wheels and use them to secure the new tire. I told you.
Pocket smart.
Riddle number 2. A witch's present. Once upon a time, Prince Charming was searching far and wide for his betrothed. Summer had already ended when he came upon a shack inhabited by an old witch. The weary traveler asked if she could grant him refuge for the night. The witch obliged and showed her guest a warm welcome, offering him food, drink, and a place to sleep. The next morning, as Prince Charming was preparing to continue on his journey, she gave him a present, saying, "A time will come when you find your way barred by a wide river with no bridge. The only way to cross it is to swim to the other bank. This enchanted tunic will help you. It won't let you drown." Our hero continued on his journey. 100 days and nights had passed, before he came across the river the witch had warned him about. But in the end, he didn't need to put on the tunic to cross it. Can you guess why? 15 seconds are all yours again.
The current wasn't hard at all, it was staying still. Anyway, probably the tunic would kill him.
Prince Charming visited the witch's shack in September. After that, it took him 100 days to reach the river, which means that, by the time he got there, it was already midwinter. The river was iced over. He simply walked across it to the other bank.
Well,
Riddle number 3, the Rabbit Hutch Mystery. A farmer keeps rabbits in 3 large hutches that stand in a row in his backyard. Each of the hutches is painted a different color, red, yellow, and green. Until recently, the number of rabbits in the green hutch was twice as large as the number of rabbits in the yellow hutch. Then, one day, the farmer took 5 rabbits out of the left side hutch and gave them away to the local school's pet corner. He also took half of the rabbits that remained in the left side hutch and moved them to the red-colored hutch. Can you guess what color the left side hutch is?
hold on.
Way to the local school's pet corner. He also took half of the rabbits that remained in the left side hutch and moved them to the red-colored hutch. Can you guess what color the left side hutch is?
Yellow. Hope everybody's liking the live stream.
The answer is quite easy. It is yellow.
Yay.
As we already know, at the outset, the number of rabbits in the green hutch was twice as large as the number of rabbits in the yellow hutch. This means that the number of rabbits in the green hutch was an even number. After the farmer removed 5 rabbits from the left side hutch, the number of rabbits that remained there also became an even number. This is proven by the fact that it was divisible by 2. Therefore, before those 5 were removed, the left side hutch contained an uneven number of rabbits. Hence, the left side hutch can't be the green-colored one. But based on the information we've got, it can't be the red-colored one either. Riddle number 4. Identify the culprit. Late one night, a car ran over a pedestrian in a narrow by-street and drove away without stopping. A policeman who saw the vehicle leave the scene of the accident reported it moving at very high speed. The accident itself was witnessed by 6 bystanders. They provided the following conflicting accounts of what had happened. It was a blue car driven by a man. The car was moving at high speed. Its headlights were turned off. The car did have license plates. It wasn't going very fast. It was a Toyota. Its headlights were turned off. The car didn't have license plates. The driver was a woman. It was a gray Ford. When the car and its driver were finally apprehended, it turned out that only one of the 6 eyewitnesses gave a fully correct description. Each of the other 5 provided one true and one false piece of information. Keeping that in mind, can you determine the following? What was the car's brand? What color was the car? Was the car going fast or slow? Did it have license plates? Was its headlights turned on? Was the driver a man or a woman? The riddle is very tricky, so I guess you'll need at least 25 seconds to solve it. Take your time, no rush. You can also pause the video to have more time to think.
That girl. The last one.
Are you ready?
Missing.
The solution to the riddle lies in the information provided by the policeman. The car was going very fast. If we accept this statement as trustworthy, then the statement provided by one of the eyewitnesses, the car was going slowly, is false by default. After we've established that, eliminating all the other falsehoods won't present a problem. It was a blue Ford. It did have license plates. It was driving at high speed with its headlights turned off. The driver was a woman. Riddle number 5. The prisoner hat riddle.
Hold on, guys. It didn't say blue. Watch.
The information provided by the policeman.
No.
The car was, so I guess you'll need at least 25 seconds to solve. Slow. Did it have license plates? Its driver were finally apprehended. It turned out that only one of the 6 eyewitnesses gave a fully correct description. The accident reported it moving at very high speed. The accident itself was witnessed by 6 bystanders. They provided the following conflicting accounts of what had happened. It was a blue car driven by a man. The car was moving at high speed. Its headlights were turned off. The car did have license plates. It wasn't going very fast. It was a Toyota. Its headlights were turned off. The car didn't have license plates. The driver was a woman. It was a gray Ford. The accident reported it moving at very high speed. The accident itself, the driver was a woman. Riddle number 5. The prisoner hat riddle. The 4 criminals are lined up on some steps. They are all facing in the same direction. A wall separates the 4th man from the other 3. So, to summarize, Man 1 can see Men 2 and 3. Man 2 can see Man 3. Man 3 can see none of the others. Man 4 can see none of the others. The criminals are wearing hats. They are told that there are 2 white hats and 2 black hats. The men initially don't know what color hat they are wearing. They are told to shout out the color of the hat that they are wearing as soon as they know for certain what color it is. They are not allowed to turn around or move. They are not allowed to talk to each other. They are not allowed to take their hats off. Who is the first person to shout out and why?
Number 1, because he sees that the white one's ahead of him, so it means you must have a black one.
Man 2 will shout out after some time. Here's why. Man 3 and 4 cannot see the other hats. Man 1 sees a white hat and a black hat and knows that his hat can be black or white. Man 2 sees one black hat, but if he is also wearing a black hat, it would be obvious to Man 1 that he is wearing a white hat. Since Man 1 did not shout out, Man 2 concluded that he himself is wearing a white hat.
Alright, guys.
Have you managed to solve the last riddle? Now, here's our little bonus. Can you name the one thing that all the people on Earth do simultaneously? I'll give you 5 seconds.
They make mistakes.
The answer is obvious. Getting older. So, have you managed to solve all the riddles?
Okay. Did not know that. Okay. So, guys, I think that's it for this video. And have a good Thanksgiving if you don't live in Canada. So, bye.